Good evening. Hello, and welcome to your Thursday night. Welcome to Veganish. I am your host, Dr. Monique, your board certified physician who you know as a physician in the kitchen. And here on Veganish, we talk about all things plant based, healthy eating, and bring you along on my journey toward a more plant based diet and talk about things and issues that are important to you when it comes to what's on your plate. So, welcome. Hello, Mr. Ellis. How are you today?
I am doing great. Well, other than my allergies kicking my tail, I am doing fine.
Spring has sprung. It's the
Yeah.
last week of April, right? We are coming up on May, and I have to tell you, May is one of my favorite months for a variety of reasons. I mean, I happen to be born in May, believe it or not. Yes, my last name is May. My birthday's in May. Are you a May baby too?
I'm a May baby too.
Oh, what day?
12th.
Okay, I'm the 20th, so I'm on the cusp. I'm bringing up the rear of Taurus. Just missed being a Gemini by minutes. But we've got Mother's Day. We've got my son is graduating high school this May, so we've got a lot going on. But once again, we are just glad to be back with you all this evening tonight. We are going to be talking about something that I think you all are going to be interested in. So be sure to stick around. So, but first, you know what we do here. We rep our city, we rep our neighborhood, we rep our state, we rep our country. So please be sure to drop in the chat where you are watching us from. I love week after week kind of seeing where people are watching us from. You can tell if sometimes they're tagging people. So, be sure if you've got a friend, tag them, tell them to come on in here and fellowship with us. And if you're watching this on the replay, then please be sure to drop hashtag replay in the chat. So we're gonna get
Can I add
people.
one thing to you? All people are repping your city while you're putting your city in the chat room. Also, if you want to, rep your sign, right? So Dr. May and I are Taurus, we're Taurians. I have
That's right.
so rep your sign. If you're a Virgo, Sagittarius, Gemini, we want to know what your sign is. So rep
That's
your city and your
right.
sign tonight. That's how we're doing it.
I love it. That's right, because it was Taurus, but just so you know, if it's not Taurus, it's really not gonna matter tonight. But no, I'm kidding. But we are in Taurus season, right? So
That's
yes,
right.
yes, yes, yes. That's a great idea. So let's see. We've got East Point, Georgia. Oh, okay. Is that near Atlanta? Is
Yep,
that
that's
one of those
local. That's local.
one
That's right here. East
one
Perch. You know what it is.
100 suburbs of Atlanta? Atlanta's got like Atlanta, y'all on a whole nother level. So then we have someone from Atlanta who's hashtag Capricorn. Okay, well, welcome. It's so funny. I only know a handful of zodiac signs. My dad's a Gemini, my mom's a Leo, my son's a Sagittarius, my boyfriend's a Leo. So those are like the only ones I know. So the most powerful Leo. Okay, Mr. Arnold, I love it. I love it. We've got Minnesota. Okay, I love that. I love that. I hope it's getting warm up there. I heard you guys are still kind of holding on to winter up there. So be sure to go ahead and continue and tag people, let people know, come on in. Because these are the fastest 30 minutes of my day. I tell y'all week after week, much faster than my 30 minutes on Peloton or anything else I do. So today, we're going to kind of continue on a theme we've touched on before about kind of food or specifically sugar addiction, right? Can certain foods be addictive? And we've talked about it before, and it's kind of like the jury is still out. Some scientists and researchers say yes, sugar can be addictive because we see changes in the brain similar to when people are using drugs that make them feel good and release all these good feeling brain chemicals. Some researchers say no, it's really not. So, and then I kind of weighed in on I think there's something to this. It could be an addictive thing. So today we're going to talk about, we got Columbia, South Carolina. Miss Goodwine's right down the road from me in Charlotte.
That's my hometown. That's where I was born, Columbia, South
Oh,
Carolina.
okay, from Columbia. Okay,
Yep.
well, yeah, I'm not far at all.
Yep.
So today we are going to talk about ways to retrain your taste buds. Is that even a thing? Can you do that? And I'm here to tell you, yeah, you can. You can. Because, week after week, I tell you guys what you should be eating and you cut back on this, cut back on that. Today, we're going to talk a little bit more about ways you can do that. And it may not be as challenging as you think. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. So can anybody drop in the chat what they think when I say retrain your taste buds? Kind of, oh, Michigan's in the house. All right. Welcome. When I say retrain your taste buds, anybody better want to drop in the chat kind of what am I talking about? What are the three kind of offenders? And I say in quotations because these things it's okay to eat them in moderation. We're not saying to get rid of them altogether. But what is Trump, if you think of three things, what do you think I'm going to talk about? Or what do you, if you could retrain your taste bud, what is the one thing you'd want to retrain it to get rid of? So
This
cheers
is
to that.
a family program, Doc. This is a family program.
Oh, see, I'm keeping it family. I don't know about you. Let's see. I heard that is what they say about sugar substitute, including those that are organic. Okay, salt, sugar, and fat. Gold star goes to Mary Jo Mitchell McKay. I love it. She's got all those M's in her name. So I love that. And yes, you are correct. Roberta. Oh, Roberta, thank you so much for watching. Yes, yes, yes. Charlotte is in the house. So Roberta was on a program I did on Saturday. We talked about heart health. And so thank you so much for watching. We've got Louisiana. So let's see. We've got votes for pop or soda. For those of you who don't know what pop is.
No, that's Midwest. That's Midwest. That's Midwest.
Yes, we call it soda in New York, but East Coast is soda. But I have some folks from the Midwest. I know what pop is. Bread, candy, chocolate. So yes, the three addictions: sugar, fat, and salt. So yes, we got it right. So we're going to talk a little bit about how do we retrain our taste buds, specifically when it comes to salt, sugar, and fat, right? Because I mean, that's like the unholy trinity, right? Of things that we put in our food, or that is added to our food without us knowing necessarily, right? So we're gonna kind of get into that. So we've got some folks still coming in from Montgomery. So Ms. Bay said, I thought chocolate was good for you. You make a good point. It depends on the type of chocolate. Okay. So yes, dark chocolate is thought to be good for you. It is full of antioxidants because remember, dark chocolate doesn't have the milk. So milk chocolate, not so much. Dark chocolate, very healthy or very, very has a lot of health benefits. I'll put it like that. But of course, still in moderation.
Let me break it down for you. If it don't taste good, it's good for you.
Some people like the taste of dark chocolate. My son actually loves dark chocolate.
Well, tonight, in all seriousness, we're talking about retraining your taste buds. I have started eating dark chocolate to get away from some of that sugar and the milk chocolate, and I've gotten used to it. So it's not the same, but I have retrained my taste buds to acclimate to dark chocolate. So yes.
There you go. So yeah, dark chocolate has good antioxidants, flavonoids, things that are good for preventing heart disease. So and also, we've talked about men and things that are important to them, and it helps with blood flow to other parts of the body as well. So, all right, we're going to get into it. So the good news is that you can retrain your taste bud. Roberta said she loves dark chocolate. That's all she eats. Yeah, dark chocolate is great. It's great for cooking. There's, lots of different uses for dark chocolate. But I put it in my chili. I put a little block of dark chocolate in my chili, and it is delicious. So you can retrain your taste buds to enjoy these things. And again, we're not talking about eliminating them 100%, just cutting them back to the recommended amounts, right? Because the average American diet, we're blowing past the recommended amounts. For example, sodium, salt, right? The recommended amount is about 2,000 milligrams, even down to as low as 1,500 milligrams, which is about a teaspoon of salt.
Right.
Very easy to blow past that. The average American is thought to consume about 3,400, 3,500 milligrams of salt per day, right? And when we see how many people have hypertension and stroke and heart attack, there's a direct correlation between that. So what we're saying is that you can reset these taste buds, train your taste buds, so that when you start to cut back on these things, when you eat something that has a little bit more than normal, you are going to be sensitive to that. And you're going to be, oh, this is really salty. And whereas before, you may not have felt that way.
Right.
And actually, it doesn't take a long time. Surprisingly, studies have shown that for people on a low sugar diet, that took about 4 weeks. They noticed that the decrease in the sweetness was about 4 weeks. Right. But for sodium, it only took about a week or so. So there's some variety in there, and so I don't have information on how long it takes to cut back on fat, but we'll get into that. But you guys go ahead and start dropping your questions. I see some comments coming in.
Good comment. I'll put this on screen, and
yes.
So and she's bringing up a really good point. Thank you so much for sharing. That I'm going to say Deborah because I pronounce your first name and I don't want to mess it up here on
Oh
the show.
yeah.
But this is important because moving and shifting to a more plant-based diet, which is what this show is about, is giving you those steps to move to a plant-based diet, will help in this process, right? Help, and we've got a show that's coming up on the Saturday as part of our Minority Health Summit, and we're going to have a guest on that talked about this, going to talk about her journey, that when she switched her diet to more plant-based diet, a lot of the illnesses that she was going through and that she was dealing with on a daily basis, they started lessening, and to the point where it almost got reversed as a result of her body is basically doing a plant detox and getting all those fats and sugars and salts and out of her system and let her body just get the nutrients that she needs. And so definitely this is a great important. And so that's what we're here to help you. So just stick with us each week, Deborah, and we will help you get on your journey.
And of course, remember that this show is meant to just give you information. We're not meant to diagnose or treat any disease.
Right.
And so, especially if you have congestive heart failure, you definitely want to be talking to your doctor and making sure these recommendations are aligned. But I would definitely think your doctor would be happy with anything where you're reducing your salt content, because people with heart failure are very sensitive to sodium, can have weight swings, in a day, 3, 5, 10 pounds. So this is definitely going to be helpful information. So let's
Black
start
people in general too, though, are we're super sensitive to
We
salt.
can be, yes, African Americans, certainly. So sugar. So, a few years ago, the FDA came out and said, hey, look, food producers, you need to be putting more information on these food labels about, added sugar, total sugar, because people need to know, kind of what is in the food that they're getting. So, for example, fruits, which we talk about and recommend all the time, have sugar, right? It's called fructose. That's the natural sugar in fruit. But fruits also have fiber, which help to control those blood sugar levels. So you're not just dumping all that sugar in your blood and then you have these spikes. So when you're getting, of course, processed foods where they've stripped away the healthy parts of the fruit, that's where the problem comes in. So we recommend that you get no more than 10% of your daily calories from added sugars. So when you're looking at a food label, now you'll see where it says added sugars, and that can come from things like you'll see it in like fructose, like if you in the OSE, that means sugar, right? And so you want to be aware of that, because they recommend about 10% of your calories come from that. So if you're eating a 2,000 calorie per day meal or diet, then that would be 200 calories from sugars, from those added sugars. So you want to be careful when you're reading that. And remember, things like cane sugar, stuff we've talked about before, cane sugar, molasses, agave, honey, all of those are sources of sugar. And even though some of them may be a little slightly healthier for you, you still want to engage in those in moderation. But here's some things you can do. So you may be wondering, okay, well, you're telling me to cut back. So how do I still get that sweet taste in things? The way you prepare your food can actually affect the way it tastes. So, for example, roasting vegetables can bring out those natural sugars. You caramelize those natural sugars. And so you saute, roast them. Those will bring out some of those natural sugars. Adding spices, warm spices, cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, ginger, even cardamom. I've started using some green cardamom in some of my baked goods, and it really enhances the sweet taste of these things. So you can, and we know that cinnamon helps control blood sugar levels, which can be good for diabetics. So start to experiment more with some of those spices that you've got in your cabinet. And lastly, try to make what you can yourself. Several weeks ago, I had about a half a cup of sugar, and I told you all that that's what was in the bottle of spaghetti sauce, right? And so, barbecue sauce, spaghetti sauce, salad dressings, all these pre-made things that you buy in the store, look at those labels, because a lot of them have what we call sugar bombs. So when you can start to whip up some of this stuff yourself at home, and with the ingredients you've got, I mean, you don't have to go out and buy a lot of crazy sounding things or expensive things. Just experiment a little bit, and you can start to control some of that yourself. And then, just one more word about that as far as, artificial sweeteners, be careful with that because some people think, oh, it's artificial. I can, eat as much as I want. But actually, it can make you actually crave more sugar because your body can tell you're getting some sweetness, but it's not hitting that level that it's used to. And so you'll tend to crave more. So you want to kind of be careful with that. Okay. So let's see.
There's some great questions. We might have to switch to these questions.
Let's get to some.
Haraya, that's how she pronounces her name, Haraya. So
Haraya, okay.
Haraya. So she got some great. So Haraya, I will say I do have some connections with doctors in Philly, because I know you're looking for some doctors in the Philadelphia area. Dr. Monique Gary, that was on this show a couple weeks ago. She is a Philly-based doctor. Now she's a
surgeon. She's a breast
surgeon, but I do know a couple other Philly-based. There's some twin doctors that we've had on Black Doctor there, and they're there in Philadelphia as well. So if you would just email me, it's just ellis@blackdoctor.org. That's ellis@blackdoctor.org. And just kind of say just remind me that you're looking for some doctors in the Philly area. Or you can go to the blackdoctor.org website. We have a doctor finder on that site, and you can put your city in there, and they'll list some of the Black doctors that are in your area. So you can just use the find a doctor search there on blackdoctor.org, or you could email me directly and I will get some doctors' names to you. So go ahead. Let's answer those questions. But I want to make sure.
Someone says with the vegan diet, isn't that too much carbs for daily intake? Not necessarily. It depends on what you're eating. Carbs are just part of a vegan diet, but remember, you can get your calories from legumes and nuts and my gosh, beans, which are legumes, fruits, vegetables. So it really depends on the carbs. And the thing about it is not just all carbs are not bad. Complex carbs are actually good for you because those are the carbs that your body has to work to break down, releases the sugar slowly into your bloodstream. So, all carbs are not the same. They don't all get a bad rap. So
that's like your brown rice versus your black rice and versus your white rice.
White rice, exactly, right? Exactly.
Rice, your quinoa.
That would be on the grains, exactly.
Yeah, those are good for you. You're better because it takes longer for your body to break that down. But the white rice, all those things that have been stripped of their nutrients to create this kind of color effect or lack of color effect, that's not good for you.
So when we talk about vegan and it's really more plant-based, we're actually talking about less whole foods is really what we mean. So that's why the brown rice, the unprocessed grains and legumes and things like that is what we're referring to.
What about the Himalayan pink salt? I got some of that.
Himalayan pink salt has less sodium than regular table salt. So table salt has about 2,400 milligrams or so, whereas Himalayan pink salt has about 1,600 milligrams. So, a lot less sodium. So I don't know that I would. Himalayan pink salt is used more really as a finisher. It's not really something that you would use, in everyday cooking.
And it's for lighter fishes. So it's really mainly for fish, right? So it's like you use a lot of seafood.
Yeah, it's a fancier salt. It's not something you're going to use all the time.
Yeah, you finish
when you want to be Salt Bay and you're like, you put just for the gram.
Yeah,
you might sprinkle your Himalayan pink salt, but it's not going to be something that typically people use, day to day. So she said when she messes up and eats something with sugar, I make a cup of hot cinnamon tea and put some apple cider vinegar in it. Is that helping? I'm not sure. I'll be honest with you. Cinnamon, cinnamon tea is great in and of itself. It benefits from that. And then some apple cider vinegar. I'm just not aware of what that combination would do for you. Apple cider vinegar has a variety of health benefits. If it's as long as it's not affecting your your blood pressure, things like that, and check with your doctor and just make sure. But I don't.
If you can, after you eat something sugary, you could take a walk too, right? Just
exercise,
especially with your simple sugars. Like if you eat a candy bar, you're going to see that peak. Get some exercise, kind of burn off some of that, so it just doesn't sit in your system. You could, take a quick 15-minute brisk walk, and that should help kind of get your sugar levels back down. But the cinnamon does help. But I don't know about the combination, as Doc said, with the apple cider vinegar. A lot of people use that as an appetite suppressant. It's been used
people use it to control their blood pressure. I know my grandmother uses it. So
it's got many uses.
It does. It has a lot. Apple cider vinegar is good for you. I just can't comment on whether that's undoing what eating the sugary food did. So moving on to salt. So as I mentioned before, recommend that the average American, they say, gets about 3,400 milligrams, way more than the 1,500 to 2,000 milligram that's recommended. So a lot of that comes from what? Packaged and processed foods, because salt is a preservative. At the end of the day, we have salt because it's a preservative. Way back when people didn't have refrigeration and things like that, salt was used to preserve food and prevent spoilage. But you have to remember, salt can be in things that you may not even expect, like a slice of bread or cottage cheese. So reading those labels really is important, and actually knowing some other names for sodium, like MSG, right? Or even natural flavors, because natural flavors is kind of this, we've talked about this before. It's kind of like this blanket, this umbrella term. It's like, well, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
It could be vegan, it can be from animal sources, and it can be a source of sodium too. So the way you can kind of control your sodium in your diet is swapping out, obviously reading your labels, getting no sodium low sodium options. If you're using canned vegetables, rinse those off before you eat them. Try to instead maybe get frozen vegetables, because those tend to be packed and processed with much less sodium. And then instead of just taking the salt shaker and add acid to your food. And she mentioned apple cider vinegar. Adding acid to your food in the form of citrus, like lemon juice, lime juice, using different types of vinegars, acid brightens and accentuates the flavor of a lot of things. You can use it in greens, you can use it in your proteins. Grains, you can use that. So that will often enhance the flavor, and you don't need sodium. And then, of course, the spices and herbs that we've talked about before, experimenting with those to enhance your food. So we've talked about salt, we talked about sugar. Fat. Now, fat plays a role, because again, all of these, we're not saying go out and never eat these again. The thing we're talking about is retraining our taste buds to lower how much we're taking in. Fat, the role that fat plays in a meal is it signals the brain that you're full. It's called satiety. So when you get the right amount of fat, you don't want to eat anymore. It signals back to the brain that you've had enough to eat. It's time to push away from the table. So the recommended amount of fat is about 20 to 30% of your calories. Again, so if you're talking about that 2,000 calorie per day, that's going to be what, about 40 for about 400 milligrams or so of fat, of calories, 400 to 700 calories per day. But it's the type of fat, right, that you want to look for. So the saturated fats, no more than about 10%. If you're going to have some, no more than 10%. 0 for trans fat, okay? And the difference is that saturated fats tend to be solids at room temperature. So that's like your butter, your lard, things like that. Your trans fat are going to be in your processed foods, the cookies, the cakes, like you said, if it tastes good, it's bad. If it tastes bad, it's good for you. If it tastes good, it's bad for you.
Right.
So your trans fats, your saturated fats are typically in animal products, and then the trans fats are in like margarine, baked good, things like that. So the fats that we do recommend are the mono and unsaturated fats that are found in, guess what? Your vegetables, your fruits, avocados, nuts, things like that. So those are just some things that you can do using a liquid form of it, like oils, instead of, again, if it's a liquid at room temperature, that's preferred. If it's a solid at room temperature, that's going to be higher in the fats that we recommend that you stay away from. You can replace 4 tablespoons of solid fat with 3 tablespoons of olive or canola oil. And then you can also use things like mashed avocado in place of butter. So, the types of oil that you're going to use is going to depend on how you're using it. You want to, if you're, you don't want it to burn, like if you're sauteing, you want something with a higher, smoke point. So those are just little things that you can figure out. But the point is to try to move toward more of, plant-based oils, so that you still are getting that.
Now, Doc, you said something that I don't want people to miss, because I want people to get this point, and the reason why we're putting fat. So that's why you see sometimes in those breakfasts that they'll cut some avocado slices on top of like fruits and things like that. Is that, what did you say earlier? The fat triggers to our brain that tells us that we're full.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes we can just eat a whole bunch of stuff, and if it's so good, it could be so great for us, but we don't get enough fat in that food, so we just keep eating, and that could be a bad thing. So you need that trigger. You need that trigger,
Yeah.
and get that good fat, that good healthy fats in your body, because like Doc said, some of the fats are good. So we need that trigger, and we need some good healthy fats in our body. So
I mean, your body needs that.
Canola oil, those are lighter oils, are really good. Canola's good if you're good. I'm not going to talk about frying because frying is not good.
But yeah, fat, your body uses fat in a lot of different processes. Hormones are made from fat, cholesterol, you cell structure. So again, all of the things that we've talked about tonight, the fat, salt, and sugar play a role. We get everything in moderation. So we're just talking about ways to cut back. And another thing, and this just applies to eating in general. And I know I'm guilty of this myself. When you're rushing and you're, multitasking, when you sit down and eat your food, be present, be mindful, stop and enjoy, and really taste what you're eating,
right.
the texture, the smell, all of those things send triggers back to the brain, instead of just you gulping something down, not even remembering what you ate, and then you're like, well, I'm hungry. I want to eat again. And it's just this cycle. So if you're really just, present, really taking time to enjoy your food, process what you're eating, that can really go a long way. It's preventing you from overeating as well. So Roberta,
got a great story, kind of a story to celebrate here. I'm going to put Roberta's story up there. She's 71. Congratulations for that.
Awesome.
Doing a whole body reset program, which promotes using whole food. I've been doing this for 2 weeks and I'm feeling much better. She's eating less sugar, fat, and salt. And that's exactly what we're talking about right now.
That's what we talk about week after week.
Keep up the great work, Roberta.
Thank you for that testimonial. Yeah, it goes without saying. And I use this when I was in clinical practice. I used to use this analogy all the time about a car. If you were given this, especially to my fellas, to my male patients, because, you have to talk to people in the language they understand. But if I gave you the keys to a 911, Porsche 911, and you pull up, you're not going to pull up to the gas station and put 87 in it, are you? And expect it to go vroom, vroom and hit those corners the way you want it to. No, you're not. You're going to put the best fuel you can get in that car for it to perform. Your body is the best piece of engineering on the planet. So don't shortchange your body. Hey, Sherry, I see you. Thank you so much for watching. Don't shortchange your body. Give it the fuel that it needs, and it will pay you back. Your body will pay you back in more ways than we can list here tonight. So I hope this information was helpful. Basically, and Roberta said she cooked her first pot of green lentils, black beans, and rice lemon. I just made some green lentils for the first time as well, and oh my God, they are delicious. And it's so funny, whenever I cook like lentils, or I made some lentils. I've said it before, my house smells like I've been cooking meat. Like, it's crazy. It has such a savory, meaty smell. And maybe it's the bay leaves I'm putting in there. I don't know what it is, but yes. So congratulations to you. So, it's the bottom of the hour. We, again, flew by, but I hope this was helpful information. Take home, if nothing else, start to wean back, and it doesn't take a long time before those taste buds will start to get sensitive. And when you reintroduce yourself to something you maybe ate before, you may notice it's too sweet or too salty, or it just doesn't sit right with you. So that lets you know that you're on the right track. So Mary Jo says she likes the car analogy. Yeah. People
definitely. I will promise you this: you will definitely experiment with all types of
spices and herbs.
And you'll find something that you love and you didn't even know it, and you'll start putting in everything, because that will help reduce all of those, especially the salt. It will help you reduce the salt. And then you will notice over time, your palate will change, right? You will notice subtleties in food that you never knew before. And you watch those people on those cooking shows, and they can say, oh, they can talk all about this. And you're like, I don't taste all that in the food. It's probably because you got too much salt and sugar.
Too much salt, exactly.
It's not the flavor of the food. But if you really just take that stuff down, strip it down, and just eat it, and then you can get that. So when you put a little bit on there, it changes the flavor. I promise you.
And not to mention, those herbs and spices have health benefits of their own. Remember, they're from the earth. So they have anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, antiviral, ginger, garlic, turmeric. Those have antiviral, antibacterial immune system boosting properties. So don't forget that. And I do want to say, I made this analogy before. I love a good analogy because I feel like, if you put things in terms of people understand and it sticks. I think of salt as the conductor of an orchestra. Okay, so what does the orchestra have? The orchestra has the harps and the cello and the trumpet, all these saxophone, all these wonderful, amazing instruments, and also all the conductor does is stand back and tells the cellist when to take front or whatever instrument. The conductor's not up there, look at me, look at me, look at me, right? The conductor is there to elevate those other instruments. And that's what salt should be. So, if you're going to add salt, be gentle with it and, let those other flavors and tastes stand up so that you can appreciate whatever amazing foods that you're cooking. So be sure to follow me on all social media at Physician in the Kitchen. At Physician in the Kitchen. My website is drmoniquemay.com. I'd love to hear more about your personal success stories. Tag me in pictures if you're making Miss Long, Miss Roberta. I want to see some of those pictures because you got me like, green lentils. I want to know more about that. And
like I say, every time we talk about this and changing your habit, give yourself some grace. Please give yourself some grace when you're trying to change your diet.
It's a process.
It's a process. Give yourself some grace.
So I won't be with you guys next week. So we'll be back though on May 12th, I believe. It's 2 weeks from tonight.
Oh, it's my birthday.
That's right. That's right. Are you gonna be here or are you gonna take the night off?
I'll be here because this is important. This is important.
I don't work on my birthday.
It's only 30 minutes.
Okay. Well, yeah. So lucky for you, my birthday is not on a Thursday this month. This year. You all will not see me.
I will be here on May 12th, but I will also just so Saturday. So check Dr. May. You can check Dr. May out on Saturday. We're going to be doing our Minority Health Summit, and she's going to be on a panel called Prolong Your Life with Healthy Eating. That panel is 3 p.m. on Saturday afternoon. So I know it's a Saturday afternoon, but you can put it on while you're doing other things. You can put it on while you're cleaning up or whatever you're doing around the house, and it's going to be a great. So we're going to talk about how you can prolong your life through healthy eating. So check us out.
So there's a question about my social media is at Physician in the Kitchen. Mm-hmm. And this has on the screen. And then my website is drmoniquemay.com. And then Ellis, I think she wants your email because you gave out your email earlier.
Yeah, I did it. It's in the chat. So you can see
there it is. ellis@blackdoctor.org. Yeah. So I hope that answers.
Don't flood me email. I only, what I'm saying, but if you have some questions, if I do have a few connections, but yeah, definitely. I want to make sure that this show is designed to help people. And so that's what we're here to do. And so go to Dr. May's site. I promise you'll get a lot of great information there. Follow her on social media. She does a lot of great, and there's a lot of great doctors out there that can give you some great stuff. You can follow our stuff. We use a lot of her recipes and ideas and things like that. Articles she's going to have on blackdoctor.org. We got more stuff. We got a cookbook. Her cookbook on healthy eating is coming out very, very soon. And then when it drops, we're gonna let y'all be the first to know. We're gonna do a sneak peek here on Veganish because y'all have been riding with us from the beginning. But we're gonna be doing all these wonderful things, and it's all about really getting you healthier and eating a more plant-based diet.
That's right. So until next time, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful week.
It's 30 minutes.
We got a lot to get to. We got to get it all in. And happy May. Happy May to you all. Take care.
Tori is in the house.
That's right.